Good evening. This is the Walpole Conservation Commission meeting of July 10th, 2024. And we have, first of all, we have a new secretary, Sarah Oster. Welcome. Where's something to read this one?
Yep. Requesting a continuance.
This is National Grid. Do we have something for Jenstar?
Did I not put out, how about that? There you go.
Thank you. Conservation Commission, Wetlands Bylaw Notice of Intent, Stormwater Bylaw, Land Disturbance Permit. In accordance with Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw, notice hereby given the intent of Jenstar to construct at 32 Industrial Road, Walpole, Mass., map 46, lot 1, a multi-use office and maintenance building with vehicle service bays greater than 40,000 square feet and within the 100-foot buffer zone of an isolated vegetated wetland. Application and plans may be viewed at the Conservation Commission office or at www.walpole-ma.gov/Conservation Commission. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in person June 12, 2024, beginning 7:15 p.m. All interested persons request to be present. Hearing's been opened and continued. And we have, is this in here?
The highlighted part.
Douglas. Okay, thanks for your time this morning to review the project. As discussed, we will go ahead and request a continuance to the August 14th Conservation Commission meeting date. That's from Doug, somebody.
From Sandtech.
Doug Fox, I guess.
From
Okay.
Sandtech.
So, what do we have on for?
We have a 7 o'clock continuance of the East Street project.
That's a new hearing, 7 o'clock?
No, that's a continuance.
Continued. They're gonna show up?
Let's do 7:05.
I believe so.
Okay, yeah, all right. So we'll make a motion to continue this till 7:05 on August 14th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
400.
Did that too fast, Jack.
7:05. Oh, that's behind, right?
Oh, what's the real time?
I don't know, I have 7:03, so.
Oh, well. We don't,
Is National Grid here? Okay, good.
National Grid is here?
Yep.
Okay. Maybe I've taken that, we've got a minute. That must be about on time.
That looks like
Looks close enough to me. Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Conservation Commission request for determination of applicability in accordance with Massachusetts general laws. Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Wetlands Protection Act, Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice hereby given intent of National Grid to perform at 331/344 right-of-way near Cedar Street, Walpole, Mass. Tests to collect water, soils, and subsurface geotechnical data and locating construction matting for crossing wetlands. The application and plans may be viewed at the Conservation Commission office or at www.walpole-ma.gov/Conservation Commission. Public hearing in the above matter will be held in person July 10th, 2024, beginning at 7:05 PM. All interested person requests to be present. So, do we have anything to read in? Doesn't look like it.
No comments.
Okay. So representing the applicant?
Yes, Eileen Peschiera representing National Grid. So National Grid is proposing to perform some geotechnical borings, soil borings along their existing right-of-way in Walpole. 2 of those borings are within a wetland. The impacts to that wetland will be only temporary, and it'll be from placing construction mats down to provide access in a safe working area for the drill rig, and then they'll be removed when the borings are completed. So National Grid has requested, the borings are in support of future maintenance and structure replacements that will be happening along that right-of-way. And, the next, it's gonna be a few years, but they need to get the engineering information to do the design for those structure replacements. So National Grid is requesting to do those borings in the wetland under the maintenance exemption of the Wetlands Protection Act.
Okay. Landis?
Yep. So the borings are going to be conducted in the wetlands resource areas, and you're using swamp mats.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just asked the National Grid to submit a request for determination because 10.022A2 just puts the burden on the proponent to provide information to the commission that they don't have to file a notice of intent. And one way to do that is an RDA. So just wanted to make sure the commission got all their information. So it's just soil borings, or are you going further down than?
Just soil borings? Yeah.
So as long as the temporary alteration of the wetlands is minimum and they clean up and.
Yep, and National Grid will have an environmental monitor that will oversee the construction while it's going on, oversee the restoration and all that, and interact with the drill rigs.
So I was recommending a -5, which would cover the 10.022A2.
Okay. Bailey?
No questions.
Al?
Is this to install towers or a building, or what is it for?
For transmission line towers, so they're gonna be replacing the structures along this line at some point in the next few years, so they need to have subsurface information so they can design their.
So you want to know what the ground is so you can have the proper foundations?
Exactly.
Okay, got it. I don't have any problem, Jay.
Okay. Betsy?
No, I saw Route 1 here, it's actually Route 1A. Not that it matters terribly much, but for a little while I was disoriented, I was going, what is Route 1 doing on this? But it's gotta be Route 1A.
Where are you?
Oh, I'm just on this, I mean, it doesn't matter, I was just,
This is Main Street, one.
Oh, on the USG.
so Walpole Junction? I mean, I'm quibbling here, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just the base map.
So you call it Walpole Junction, huh?
That is the term.
Substation.
Yeah.
That's the term you guys use, okay.
Right.
I'll stop quibbling, it's fine, it's good. That's nothing more from me.
Okay. If anybody in the audience have any questions or comments, please identify yourself for the record. Okay, hearing none, I would suggest make a motion to close the hearing.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
400. I would think in the order that you write, include feedback to you when they're gonna do this work, so that they're aware of what's going on and what they're doing and when. Okay. You said it's -5?
Yep.
Okay, someone make that a motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
400. And other than that, anybody have anything else to add to, other than their feedback to Landis when they're ready to do the work? Okay. All right,
Right, thank you very much.
that's good, thank you. We have something to sign?
Yes, you do. You have 11 minutes
I know,
to
note to
sign it.
self, schedule these every 5 minutes, not every 20 minutes.
That we can make up for our expeditious handling here.
To issue the determination. So
Drag
you'll
the
see
next one out.
on the request for determination form, the DOA, that there's different categories, and it's negative
That's all
5.
right.
I'll show you.
What else have we got?
And then you can-
Okay.
Oh, Truex is going earlier to the ZBA?
Actually,
We
do
don't
we
have
have the
minutes
revised?
ready.
Oh, no, we don't have any minutes. Do we have the revised plans in front of us
For what?
for Warwick Road?
Yeah, right there.
Yes.
Okay, we can all study those. We have
Well, I
11
guess we
minutes
have
to
a
kill.
gap. I guess
So-
Lauren came by and said something about the zoning board having someone canceling on them.
So you're moved up.
I moved up, where?
Zoning board?
She just
He's
said,
not here. He went to Bellingham, he wasn't getting to the zoning board till 8 o'clock.
yeah, they moved that up.
You moved him up? Oh,
Can they
he's-
do that with a hearing?
The zoning board
Zoning
moved him,
board,
oh.
zoning board can do whatever they want,
They
because
can
they
move-
don't advertise
They don't
specific
advertise
dates.
like.
Wow.
Okay. So you're here. Your assignment is Concom.
I'm gonna double check.
Well, I don't want you to go down there and get stuck there and not come down here. This is recorded.
I like it right here.
This is recorded.
I like it right here. I'm happy in here.
Well, we'll see what we can do about that.
I like it.
Okay, where, do we have 275 comments?
What are you looking for?
The Warwick Road?
We have a,
So it's like,
this is the high school, right? We should
We did, it should be in the top one.
be in the top one. This is high school,
this looks like 275 Congress Street. What's this one?
That's,
The
no,
high
that,
school.
yeah, that's the high school. This is, yes, there you
This
go.
is Warwick Road.
Yep, Warwick Road.
You spell it right?
But one of the first nights you didn't schedule all the meetings, well,
We should have.
Well, it was because the first one messed us up a little bit because they continued early. And I actually stuck in National Grid in there because the other ones were continued because we thought the first one was gonna take longer.
Well, we usually have other
You-
things to discuss, but
Okay, but even then, I would do it the way planning does, every 3 minutes, and then you can sit there all night, waiting.
I know, we don't have any certificates, we don't have any enforcement orders, we don't have any appeals. Well, we do have an appeal, but we don't have any to talk about board comments.
what does this one do? 721. You want to talk about North Street?
Oh, yeah, anything going on with that?
Okay. Landis and I met with Ian Cook and Jim McGrath and McGraw and Jim. Jim. The other day regarding access to the public access with any restrictions, and that was cleared up. We can do what we want to get that ready. This week, yesterday, I guess it was, Rob Belcher went out with his canoe and his son and removed the junk
Really?
that was all up on the peninsula there. Probably 2 chairs, remnants of 2 chairs.
So what, do they drag them behind the canoe?
Put them in the loaded the canoe
Oh,
and
okay.
got rid of it. So that's done.
Eileen,
Um,
was that her name?
And we talked about signage, which we
Okay.
have
What's that her
some
name?
samples of.
I'm
But
not sure.
basically, we're gonna need a lot of signs,
Did you sign it?
say different things, some of which,
Do you want me to speak up next time?
NEPRA wants,
Yeah, you can, yeah.
the
They did-
Land
did
Holding
they return
Association
the
wants,
request?
They
and
did
the
turn it.
homeowners association wants.
I'm
So-
guessing.
So are
We'll
we
get to
gonna, are
those.
we gonna actually see those signs?
Yeah, we got some here tonight, but
Wait a minute,
I think we got more to do
Wasn't
with
here.
signage.
okay, so tonight we're not looking at signs, right?
We may do that later.
Okay.
But essentially, we've got the okay to go
Yep.
complete the trail, to put the boardwalk over the stream, and do whatever to make, apparently it's the area of landing from the water is large enough. Rob got in there with his canoe and loaded it up. Um,
When you say
Have any-
homeowners association, what do you mean?
That's the, I think of their title. Willett Pond Charitable Homeowners Association, or something like that. I have to see if we got all the right words in there. But their concern is, as I've expressed before, with cleanup, who's gonna do that, how we gonna do it, how we gonna post signs of what is accessible, what isn't, you know, because it is, the public access is only be the water side of the peninsula, not the whole peninsula. So,
Is that true?
yeah, right? The public access is just half of the peninsula, the water side.
So they can only launch from the outer part of the peninsula, yes.
So, is the whole peninsula part of the?
Yes.
the
The
whole-
whole peninsula is part of the public access
Okay.
easement, but it states they can only launch from the outside.
What's the it? Who
That's the
states
water
that?
side.
Who states that?
The public access easement
The
document
Oh.
that was negotiated.
Oh, okay.
So, this, things are moving along, so we'll have,
Anyone who's waiting in the audience, we just have to wait till 7:21 to start the next public hearing, and then we'll move through
That's why we're just
as fast as possible. That's why they're just,
getting the ball about.
yeah. By public law, we have to wait and move forward with hearings when they've been legally advertised, so.
I think so, the trail is partially established, needs some more work on that, and the boardwalk over the stream are the main things that need to be done. But, we're getting together with Gary Riggett, about exactly what that's gonna look like, but it's not that big, it just has to be done. And I don't know what's going on with the town at North Street. There's nothing going on there yet. But it's
Yeah, that'll
accessible.
probably happen in the fall.
Okay.
when DPW has more time.
It is accessible if anybody wants to go there. There's a trail, have you been down there?
No, I haven't,
Okay.
so I think I should.
It's flagged, the trail is flagged, so you can, I mean, they say it's available.
Good.
All right, close enough.
Close enough.
Where's the, this one? Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Conservation Commission notice of intent in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice hereby given the intent of Wall Street Development to construct an extension of Warwick Road, including an 8x4 culvert stream crossing within the town's right-of-way, with associated water and sewer utility line infrastructure, and stormwater drainage basins and roadway located on portions of 315 and 319 Summer Street, Walpole, Mass., map 56, lot 89 and 90. Application and plans may be viewed at the Conservation Commission office or at www.walpole-ma.gov/Conservation Commission. Public hearing, the above matter will be held in person, May 22nd, 2024, beginning at 7:20 PM. All interested person requested to be present. Hearing's been opened and continued. Do we have anything new to read in?
No, because the plans came in on Tuesday night at 5:15, so they have not been distributed for comment, nor have I had a chance to review them.
Okay,
But I figured that the applicant could come and just go over them with the commission, and then
We'll be brief.
we'll review them.
okay.
You have to at least go to 7:30,
Representing the applicant?
7:30.
Rob Truax, GLM Engineering Consultants. So as Landis said, we did submit the plans last minute as of yesterday. We apologize, but with the understanding that you wouldn't have a chance to review them before tonight. So we were fine with that. But we did want to come in and just discuss it a little bit of where we're at and what we did to revise it. So I did go through all of the town engineer's comments, and I wrote a response to that. I revised the plans to address all his comments. I went through, Landis had sent me an email with some comments, and I went through that and wrote comments back and addressed most of her issues. There's a few I couldn't, that I will need some other, I'd like the wetland replication, specifics. I think we're gonna have, I'm not the person that's gonna write that, I'm gonna have Goddard put something together for you. I think he already did it once, he's gonna do it again. And then there was a wetland that we delineated since the last time we were here. It's along Warwick Road. It runs, as the Landis thought it would, it runs all the way up the street right here.
What sheet are you on?
I'm on sheet 4. So it's just outside the public right-of-way by about 5 feet, I would say, at most. Comes all the way down to the guy's, almost to the guy's driveway. There's a driveway right here, across from Wall Street. And this wetland comes all the way up, and then it kind of goes back in towards his rear yard. So we did get that on the plan, identified that. Made some adjustments to the drainage basin, made it larger to accommodate the increase in volume as well as the rate. And then just went through all the general comments. There was a lot of small things, minor things that we put on the plan for the town engineer as well. But one of the things that Mr. Petrosi wanted me to iterate tonight was we're willing to go back to the planning board and request waivers and ask to reduce the cul-de-sac from 88 feet diameter, which is required by the subdivision regs, to 82 feet, which is a turning radius that we've got approved on a couple other projects in town, and we were able to demonstrate that the fire trucks could turn around in the cul-de-sac. So that's been approved on some, I think they were both 40Bs, so that's been approved at a reduced diameter. And then we were also wanted to ask them to eliminate the sidewalk around the cul-de-sac. So if we're able to do those two items, we wouldn't have the need to fill this wetland, this little bit right here, which is a couple hundred square feet. We'd be able to eliminate that filling. And then the other thing we're gonna request, and we're gonna ask you as a commission if you would support these, is that we would reduce the pavement of the road. They're requiring it to be 26 feet going down through Warwick, and the existing road's not even 26 feet. I mean, if we could even reduce it to 24 or 22 and narrow the crossing, it would just be less impacts on the stream banks and the wetlands around it as well. There is a little bit of filling taking place around the wing wall, And that probably could be eliminated too if we got the support of narrowing the road slightly, got a waiver for that. So we had proposed these waivers early on in the project, and we kind of got very negative feedback from the board, so we pulled them off the plan and came back with a no waiver plan, is essentially what we had to try and do. And so now, we're in a different position, so we're willing to go back and re-request these waivers to try and reduce the impacts to the wetland resource areas a little bit. So what we were thinking is if we went back and asked for these, maybe the commission could just, if you're in support of it, would just, you know, say that you're in support of the waivers to help reduce the impacts. That's all. All I got. Really, I don't expect you to have had a chance to look at anything that we've just provided you, so we'll obviously be continuing this hearing.
Okay. Landis?
So this is the first time I've looked at the plan, because I just simply didn't have time. But while you were talking, I was just wondering, I know sometimes I see cul-de-sacs that are kind of like leaning to one side or the other.
The pavement,
Yeah, like, so they bulge out more on one side than another? You couldn't do something like that?
I
this?
tried that, I bulged it, it does go to the left a little, but I, see this, there's a, what I ran into, if you go to the sheet before that one, Landis, you'll see, zoning circle. The front door is zoning circle, right here. So I had this lot middle, I could run into the zoning circle there, I can't push it anymore. But, I will say that if people were willing, I could shift the pavement inside the bubble, inside the right of way.
Inside the,
You know, if they were willing to let us, you know, if the planning board was willing to allow me to just shift the pavement inside the layout, you know, 2 or 3
inside the
feet.
circle.
Inside the,
Yeah.
yeah, inside the layout
Yeah,
circle.
Yeah.
Offset it and not center it, then yes, yeah, that would help a lot also. I mean, I think we could, with a couple waivers and doing something like that, we would definitely eliminate that wetland filling on the edge of the cul-de-sac. It doesn't, like, I think you brought it up before, Betsy, about that not really being necessary. And I don't think we need a sidewalk, it doesn't go anywhere. I mean, that's just my opinion, but I need to get other people to agree with that.
Like, 'cause even on the front Stony Brook Road, it has just a circle, has like a half circle in your cover sheet there. Is that
What do you mean a half circle?
Stony Brook?
Oh, Stony Brook, yeah.
Just has it road and then cul-de-sac. So you can't do something like that anymore? Or again,
Is
you,
that grandfathered in?
I'm trying to think which one that is. Yeah.
well, so Stony Brook comes into the property from Winter Street. Yeah, yeah. So on your cover sheet, you're showing that.
Yeah, they don't, that's not acceptable.
Okay, but something like Boyden Road where it does kind of curve around, so,
Yeah.
okay.
No, I know what you mean. And like I said, I have 10, 12 feet inside the layout that I could just push it over 3 or 4 and still have plenty of grass strip around the cul-de-sac on that left side.
So is the proposed replication area that you're showing on this plan, is that the 1.5?
A little bigger,
Ratio?
yeah, I increased it. So what I did was I put it, I had this little wetland right here, we were filling, and it kind of extends over to the replication area, so I attached it to that. Because I was filling that before, so it was getting cut off. It was,
Okay, because I think I calculated 897, so,
I think that's labeled wrong.
because before you were showing a fill of 598, so 1 to 1.5 was
Yeah, so I reduced this
897.
filling right here. I reduced this one,
Oh, along the sewer right away?
along the drainage, yeah.
Yeah, the drainage, yeah, the
Yeah,
drainage.
because I had more area I was filling there, so I pulled that back, I reduced that one.
So you have slightly different numbers everywhere.
Yeah, some, it's slightly smaller now. At what, 2, 3,
So, yeah, I mean, just because we're looking at this plan right now, my suggestion to the commission was the fill is not automatic, they have to approve it.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Even to begin with, but, yeah, anything that you can do to have a no fill impact, that's the bar.
So if we were to approach the board, the planning board, for these waivers, and we sent a letter to the commission, would it be something the commission could write a letter to the board and say, we've seen the waivers and we would support the waivers to reduce the impacts to the wetlands? That's, I guess, my only question. Something to that effect.
I would just say, I would advocate to the town engineer, if this is gonna be an accepted road, it's really up to him what the size should
Correct.
be.
Or maybe you can have a conversation with him about these things and say, is this really necessary? The sidewalk, I think,
Do that on occasion.
yeah. I think the sidewalk around the cul-de-sac really isn't necessary in this little application, because there's only 2 houses up there. You know, nobody, the sidewalks on Wall Street and Warwick aren't usable. They're all, there's no curbing, the pavement, they're all broken up. I don't think anyone really walks on them. They don't plow them. Well, maybe, yeah, maybe that's even better, Landis. Maybe if you had a conversation with the town engineer about what his thoughts are and what he thinks is absolutely necessary to be a public road. And we could have that with you if you wanted. We could go with you and have a meeting with him. Those sometimes go pretty well.
With you, yes. All good suggestions. Mission feels.
Anything else at this point?
I don't think so. I just need to go through the plan and check off the items that I had and the letter that was sent to the planning board by the town engineer, and probably
Right.
get him, I'll also send a copy over to Carl and see what he thinks about what's
Is
the,
he away this week, or was that last week?
that was
I thought he was just recently away.
not last week, it was the week before.
Oh, okay.
Because of the 4th of July and the 3rd of July, there was a lot of, town hall was closed both the 4th
Town hall
and
was
the 3rd.
closed Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
You go around.
You done?
I'm done.
Okay. Shirley, did you have any questions or comments?
No, at this time.
Al?
I'm in favor of moving the cul-de-sac a little bit. The reason for the cul-de-sac is turning around trucks and fire engines, so as long as it can do that, it doesn't matter what the exact shape is, whether it's lopsided or even.
I would agree.
Yep, and I think it's a good idea for Landis and the engineer to first discuss it. We can get behind things if they are.
You want me to set up a meeting with him, Landis? See if we can just get in a room together?
You certainly can reach out to him, sure.
All right. Well, I'll send an email and see what his availability is.
I know he's just been really swamped, so, and he hasn't even seen these, but certainly trying to get a time, because the continuance wouldn't be till, our next meeting is April 14th, so you have some time.
When's your next meeting?
Maybe
August.
not.
What?
We got a lot of time.
Did I hear that correct?
August, sorry, August 14th.
Anybody in the audience have any questions or comments? Please identify yourself for the record. Hearing none. So we'll continue this to August 14th. When we have time.
7:10.
We have East Street at 7 o'clock, and you have 7:05, you
And
put
wait,
Industrial
7:10.
Road.
For good reason.
Betsy's gonna stack them up, I can tell. Every 5 minutes.
Like they do on planning board.
You do. Other towns do it too. You're not alone.
Okay, so we'll make that a motion to continue this until August 14th at 7:10, was that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
400.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
The other one was,
7, 10, 8.
Three plans. Let's find out which one they're looking at.
Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Conservation Commission Land Disturbance Permit. In accordance with Walpole's Stormwater Management Bylaw, General Bylaw Part 2, Chapter 499-13 through 30. It's hereby given the intent of the Town of Walpole, for Jim Johnson, Town Administrator, to construct an addition and improve parking areas and stormwater management over 40,000 square feet of land disturbance located at the Walpole High School, 275 Common Street, map 34/42, lot 222/306. The application and plans may be viewed at the Conservation Commission office or at www.walpole-ma.gov/Conservation Commission. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in person on July 10th, 2024, beginning at 7:30 PM. All interested persons are requested to be present. Okay. Representing the applicant, let's see, who's,
Hello, Michelle Callahan with Niche Engineering, the civil engineer.
where do you get up to the microphone, please?
Yes, sorry.
I'll just see what we have here.
Yep. Michelle Callahan with Niche Engineering.
This is from... Okay, this has to be read in. We do have a letter from Adam Nyden dated July 10th, sent to Landis. Whom it may concern. My name is Adam Nyden. I reside at 284 Common Street, Walpole, Mass. I bought Walpole High School. I'm very concerned about the 2024 high school renovation project. As a neighbor since 1989, we were very much involved with the original high school renovation project that took place from 2000 to 2002. There was an original playground in front of the Plimpton School with a green footprint. We had an agreement back then that the footprint would change, but not the square footage of greenery along Common Street. The installation of the parking spaces in front of Plimpton in the proposed 2024 plans endanger that agreement from 2000 and 2002, and in fact, put physical pressures on the neighbors. Requesting a formal meeting with the neighbors, the boards involved, to discuss this project and try to come to a resolution to work for all.
Was that written to us?
This was sent to Landis on July 10th. Email.
Today.
We have, what's this,
There's another letter from the butter
this is another, a Butters letter?
who's here tonight.
Okay, this is from Jeffrey Janisic, 223 Common Street, and sent to Landis. To reviewing the proposed land disturbance plans for the Walpole High School renovation project. There are serious concerns regarding the proposed changes to the public street curb and sidewalk abutting 223 Common Street. The curb was extended as displayed in the proposed site plan. The proposed change would cause my family to back their cars against oncoming traffic and the blind rise on Common Street when accessing the driveway at 223 Common Street. This would be incredibly dangerous for all drivers and pedestrians. Land disturbance permit requests must be rejected or postponed until a safety and traffic evaluation of impacted abutters and nearby residents can be completed. Proposed site plan is adjusted to accommodate any safety concerns. Okay.
Which plan do you have on your board first?
This is the phasing plan.
So we have three sets. Which, should we be on L001, LDP1, or C001? And then what page do we open to?
Yep, so this one, can you read the number on there, Chris? This one I think was folded independent of the civil sheets. This was the phasing plan that was full, I think it was
So we
folded.
don't have this?
You have it, yeah. It's just not with the civil plans, because this is the architectural phasing.
Which one of these, before we start
Yeah.
unfolding three giant plans? So this, or this?
And
Okay,
here.
this one?
Yes.
Okay.
We got here, that's the other one.
That's it.
The sheet number on this is
Yeah, what
AD
sheet
triple
number is
zero. AD triple zero.
AD 000, great, we found it. Whoops, okay. Do you need help, Glenn?
Okay. Go ahead.
All right, so I'm Chris Blesson, the TAP A Architects, principal architect on the project, and the general overview of the project is that we would be building an addition to the, I believe it's the plan south of the current building that is a field house addition. It's a gym with some supporting facilities included in that, and then a renovation of the inside of the building. There is an addition, the high school has long struggled with parking on site and site circulation on site. And so the school department had asked us to look at ways to resolve that. And so to the, if you're looking at the plan to the left of the tennis courts it's like a dirt lot, really. I think there's technically, if you look at a satellite image, it looks like a softball field or something, but it's not really used. And so they wanted us to put parking there to increase the capacity on the parking side. And then on the sort of, from a site plan perspective, the other big interventions would be on the plan sort of right and lower part of the plan there, where the entrance to the site, we were trying to address the buses and cars and how those come onto the site and the backups that happen on Common Street. And so we've met with town engineering, police, fire, all the folks that interact with the school and the drop-off and pickup times. And there's a road that goes around the back of the building on the far north side on Common Street as it comes up. And the thought was we needed to reorient that so that we could get a better sight distance, because the police and fire and site logistics folks think that as the road comes up over, there's not a good sight distance, and it makes it a hard turn to make off of Common Street. And so we moved it slightly south on the plan and created a new entry there for cars, and then the buses would use the existing entry to the site. And so the plan that you're looking at, it's a multi-phased project because we're trying to do this while students are in the school. And so should I hold this with me?
Yeah, you have to bring
Okay.
that with you.
So the first phase would be 1A, and that's the new parking area to enable some additional parking during the construction, because the Phase 1B building actually takes over some of the existing parking areas. So we want to get to a net zero proposition during construction so that we're not making the parking problem worse while we build. And so phase 1A is also including some modifications to the existing site to make a viable path for emergency vehicles to get all the way around the building and the buses. So that's all phase 1A. 1B would then be build the addition and address some of the upfront portions in front of the addition, which is currently kind of sloping down into or towards the building, but this would create some additional parking in 1B. Also would be a laydown area for that construction zone, but that's all part of the addition portion. And then following that 1B, when it gets turned over and usable, we would then go and start doing phase 2, 3, and 4, which are inside the building. They're just interior renovations. And most of those would happen, a couple of them would happen over the summertime, and then the longer duration one would happen sort of parallel with some other activities. And then the other part of this would be a phase 4 process, which is modifying the parking around the Plimpton so that we can get the circulation patterns we're looking for coming across there. And then we do currently still have an add alternate to add parking in front of the Plimpton School. This was, again, to address the parking needs of the school. I think currently there's students parking on side streets and down towards the police station and things like that. And so they want to add site parking. One of the other interventions down towards the Plan South and right is between this new entryway and the existing entryway. There's an opportunity to expand the to basically link the driveways so that you can get everything to come in the new entryway, buses and cars. And so it's a 2-lane entry, so buses would come in and go to the left and go in front of the school. Cars would still go in and go to the right and up around, and that's where the drop-off queue ends up being up around here for cars. And so it gives us a nice long queue for cars around the building so that we're not backing up on Common Street anymore in the mornings and afternoons. And then this would enable us to get a few more parking spots up front too, so that like visitor parking and things like that, there's rarely any visitor spots available up front. So that's sort of a lay of the land and some phasing. And I'll turn it over to Michelle to talk to you a little bit more about the engineering side.
So I'll speak a little bit, sorry, I'll grab the mic.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, so just related to the phasing that Chris was just talking about, we are showing erosion controls and construction fencing.
300?
So this is just a markup. This is still the phasing plan, but just with color on it. And so I put the landscape background in because you can kind of tell some of the grading.
Similar to what you sent for presentation?
Exactly, yeah. It's just rendered so you can kind of see a little bit more. And I put the landscape grading on. That's why it says L, because the landscape grading is showing. But so we've shown construction fencing and erosion control fencing for each of the phases. We've added construction entrances, kind of showing how they'll be implemented throughout the different phases of the project. Again, all of this fencing and work it'll change throughout the whole project. As one phase is done, that fencing will probably come down and then be adjusted to the work area. We've shown stockpile areas and staging areas as well. We've located the temporary refueling location if required, and just shown the overall, the way that the traffic will flow through the site during construction. We've shown inlet protection on all existing catch basins, and then when new inlets get installed, we've shown inlet protection on those as well. And just to note too, there's not a contractor on board right now, so these plans will be included in the bid set, and then they'll be incorporated into their means and methods when they're constructing. Talk about stormwater. So this will be a C plan. This is in C, the C set. Yeah, lots of plans. Okay. This is just a rendered version of the utility plan that you have in the drawing set.
What sheet are you on?
We're in a different
Yeah.
section. We're in C now.
This is the, yep, utility plan. And actually, it's put onto one sheet too, so I think the drawing set splits the site into two, but this is just an overall view of it. So we have different portions of the site, and are mitigating stormwater on each of those sections so that we're locally addressing the increase in impervious area. I'll just kind of walk through plan left to right.
What, CC?
I think it's 300, maybe 200, maybe 200, the site utility plan.
Here it is, C 200.
Utility plan. So I'll start plan left to right. The new parking area over here, we are proposing catch basins with subsurface infiltration chambers to address the increase in impervious area and also address water quality requirements. These are storm check chambers with isolator row, which provides the 80% TSS pretreatment before infiltration. That system will have an outlet control structure, so there'll be some dead storage there. These systems were sized to hold 1 inch over the post-construction impervious area as required under the regulations. And then in the larger storms, they'll overflow into the existing closed drainage system on site. So this system over here connects into an existing drain pipe on site, which connects out into the closed drainage main in Common Street. Same thing, this little parking lot over here, same thing, capturing with catch basins directed to isolator rows, subsurface infiltration chambers, and then overflowing into that same outlet pipe, which connects into Common Street. Same mitigation strategy here of catch basins throughout the new access drive, gets directed to the isolator row and subsurface chambers. There was one little section that we weren't able to get to the subsurface infiltration system, so that's a water quality inlet, which provides water quality treatment before discharge. And then same thing over here, catch basins to isolator row, and then overflow to the closed drainage system that ends up in Common Street. I will say we're providing 80% total suspended solids removal as well as 65% total phosphorus removal through the stormwater design. Like I mentioned, there's 1 inch of dead storage over the post-construction impervious area within the limit of work. So I think it's about 14,000 cubic feet total dead storage of stormwater storage on site. We did do test pits that were observed by engineering for 3 of the 4 systems, and they were observed, like I said, by engineering. Soils were consistent throughout the site, very good sandy, well-draining material. I'm trying to think if there's anything else related to stormwater. I don't think so, but I'm happy to answer any questions. I will just add too, we worked with the town engineer early on in the design. We had floated a couple ideas, porous pavement, other stormwater interventions, and subsurface infiltration was the preferred method with the town engineer. Just because there's lack of surface space, so not really room for surface basins. You can see the site was tight with trying to add in all the extra parking, and then there was just some maintenance concerns with porous asphalt, so that was why that wasn't chosen.
So the plan that you sent as a presentation plan where you have stockpile areas and construction entrance, that should be submitted to the Conservation Commission as an erosion control plan. So you want to show where the erosion control is, you want to show that there's a construction entrance, so nothing's being tracked on the roadway. You want to show that you've looked at certain areas that make sense for stockpiling. Did talk to the engineer tonight about temporary stormwater basins, settling basins. So I know with the SHWEP, you filed a draft, and I know that the contractor usually figures that out, but we do like to see something ahead of time that the overall project has looked at, the elevations and everything, so you should have a general idea of how the water is going to flow. We want to make sure it all stays on site. If that gets changed, that's fine, but let's start out with erosion control, stormwater management during construction plan. So if you could submit that, that would be really helpful. Then, I just for the commissioners and everyone else, in the past, there has been an order of conditions on the site because the river is to the rear of the building, and there's stormwater that's discharged from the rear parking lot where they're gonna come in as a construction entrance, I think, but there's no proposed activity back there, so no activities proposed in the riverfront area, no activities proposed in the 100-foot buffer zone. So they didn't file a notice of intent for order of conditions, just the land disturbance permit to address the stormwater. And I guess another question, so you're meeting rate and volume on site, so it meets existing conditions or better.
Correct, yep, for the 210, 25, and 100 year, we're reducing both volume and rate.
Okay. So no, more water is not leaving the site, actually probably less water is leaving the site because you're putting water in the ground. So,
Exactly, yep.
anything that's now going into the existing drainage and is probably going to be less.
Correct, yep, because all of the areas that we're touching, there is no existing infiltration. The site does have some infiltration trenches around different areas of
Yeah.
the building, but the areas that we are touching currently just get
That's
piped
not-
directly out.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So you're actually bettering, that's not a good word, but
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
making the existing conditions better
Yeah.
as far as water quality and drainage. Just wanted to make that clear. Then I know also, I know you did soil tests for most of the basins, but not one of them, the one near Plimpton. I
Yeah,
think.
that was a late add, yep, so that scope got added after we did the initial test bits, and talks with Carl, we're gonna try to get those scheduled to do the couple other. But again, the soils were consistent throughout the site, so we aren't expecting any changes, any big surprises, but yes, we will get those two done.
The Infiltration basin to the left, closest to the new access, also, is that above groundwater, or does that need to be?
Yep, so that, they're actually, yep, so there, I talked to Carl about this. There was no groundwater found, there was on the log, it was incorrect, so we're gonna talk to Carl again. There was no groundwater or modeling in any of the test pits that we did.
I think at this point, that's all I have. I just want to bring out those points for the commission and anyone else.
Okay. Bailey?
We're gonna get to see the erosion control plan?
So just want to note, there is an erosion control plan in the civil set. It's just this one was more, the one that you saw, the presentation plan, kind of showed it more related to the phasing, but the erosion control plan does show the construction fencing, the perimeter erosion control, one or two of the construction entrances, but we kind of modified it to fit the phasing a little bit more.
We didn't have stockpile areas.
Correct, yep, and we added
Washout
stockpiles to the
areas.
figure, yep.
Landis, did you address the compost sock versus wattles?
That was in my comments.
Yes, yes, so we can change that.
Yeah, all my comments in my report, I got answers back that satisfactorily addressed those.
No further questions, thank you.
Al?
Okay, now, last time we had a major construction project on this site, we had a major environmental disaster. All the stormwater was collected and made a big pond on the site, and then it was discharged into the drain system that went down Lake Avenue into the pond. And we had considerable amount of silt in the pond, which had to then be removed. And that was basically because the contractor didn't care about the silt control, and the planning board didn't care about it either. And they just dumped all the silty water off of the site and down into the pond, which used to be an ice pond. So I'm concerned about, I look at this plan C200, and I see a bunch of drain lines, but I don't see where they connect into anything. And I'm sure that in this day and age with the changing climate, we're gonna have times when stormwater is ready to come off this site. And I want to make sure that when you're under construction here, that anything that comes off this site is going to be clean and not bringing a whole lot of silt into that pond down at the end of Lake Street. I don't see that here. I don't see any mention of you're gonna have silt sacks in all these catch basins. And they're extremely important. And it's important that the contractor clean them on a regular basis. So that's my major concern about this project, is to manage the salt, the silt-laden water that always gets on these sites. You can't prevent it, but you have to clean it up. And you have to make sure it doesn't go where we don't want it. And I don't see that on this plan. I see that you're doing a good thing in recharging, which hadn't been done before. And I'm not against an addition on the building or renovations to the building or the parking. I just want to make sure that the stormwater that lands on this site doesn't cause problems somewhere else. It's okay if it causes problems to the contractor on the site during construction, but it's got to stay there. And I want to make sure that your plan presents any things necessary to make sure it stays there. So that's my comment, and I looked at the plan, and a lot of it doesn't make sense because it's so new. We didn't have a lot of time, but I want to make sure that every catch basin has silt sacks installed and maintained, and we have erosion control that keeps everything on the site. That's my big.
Okay, so I can address some of that, that's why. So the silt sacks are shown on the C100 plans, those are the erosion control plans. The C200, that's the stormwater plan that's the post-construction, what the drainage will look like. All the silt sacks are called out on C100. The contractor will be subject to stormwater pollution prevention plan, which we included a draft of there, so they have to be in accordance with that permit, the NIPD's permit. I will say, also related to the phasing of this project, this helps a little bit because it's kind of broken out. Each area, the stormwater is mitigated within that area itself. So for example, when they start with that upper parking lot, while they're constructing that underground subsurface system is gonna go in, right? So that'll go in first, then the parking lot will get paved. So all of the water that hits that in that phase will be able to go to that stormwater system because that's gonna be constructed as part of that phase. It's not like we're tearing up the whole site at one time, and then you have this interim condition where there's a lot more impervious area, not a lot of mitigation. It kind of helps the way this project is phased, that each phase has its own stormwater mitigation, so once that goes in, that can handle the runoff. But understand your concerns about silt. We were showing erosion controls, silt fence, and again, they'll have to be in accordance with the SWIP. Once the contractor is on board, this gets a little bit easier because they'll be able to tell us exactly how they'll use their means and methods to do it. But I think, again, the erosion controls on the C100 plans, and then just the phasing and how the stormwater will get mitigated in little pieces. I think that should hopefully make it a little bit easier on this site. And then the comment about the overflow. So on the C200 drawings, all of those systems, they're just connecting into existing piping that goes out into Common Street. So they do have an overflow. So once those recharge systems are full, especially in the larger storms, there is an overflow from those. We do use the larger NOAA storms because of, you mentioned, more storms, bigger rainfall events. It's our niche standard to use the higher rainfall NOAA storm, so higher storm inches. When we look at, especially now when we're looking at closed drainage, we've been seeing a lot lately because the storms are more intense. You're getting a lot more water a lot more quickly. So we've looked really closely at inlet capacities and making sure that the catch basins that we're providing, there's enough of them to be able to take that water. So that's something that we've been looking at too, to kind of address the changing climate that we're dealing with.
So my only concern, as I said, is the water that gets off the site into the system on Common Street, because that system deposits all the drain water into the pond that's at the end of Lake Street.
Yeah, so in the final condition, there'll be, the recharge system that will provide water quality. Everything coming out of that will be clean water, removing the 80% TSS. And then again, during construction, we'll have those erosion controls in place to help at least there, if the water coming off, it should be trapped, the sediment should be trapped on site, either in the inlet protection or in the silt fence or the compost sacks. It'll be able to stay on site, and that'll be part of the SWIP too, that the contractor will have to follow.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, so I have a question. Are you going to be going before planning board?
I don't think we are.
Okay, then, so we're the only board you're coming before?
I believe so, yeah.
All right, then I'm concerned as an ordinary citizen, not just a Concom member. So if we have neighbors that are recalling there was a contract to keep some green space and not impervious surface in certain places near the high school, we're the last stop for you on that, right? So,
Yeah, I mean,
So-
or, yeah, if there's a contract that exists, the town hasn't made us aware of that,
okay,
so
all right.
we're in
And
agreement.
then something
I guess.
like traffic and turning patterns in people's driveways, it's so, we're the only board you're coming to. I'm just sort of wondering about the protocol, because sometimes things go to planning, they go to us, they go to someplace else, and all these little things get kind of straightened out where someone has jurisdiction. So if we hear from abutters about green space that was supposed to be in a contract with them or the town?
I guess we'd have to find what, if it's, I mean, the term contract is fairly
Okay, so-
binding, right, or an agreement. If there's something that's binding, it has to be materialized, and it hasn't been shown to us that that exists, and a resident can claim that, but if it's not in our records or available to us, then there's no way we can react to that. So I guess that would be on, the town administration to show us that.
Okay.
The project is a
Where
Dover
abutters go
project.
on that kind
Yeah.
of thing, so they have to go to the town administrator probably, huh?
Yeah, so the project is a Dover project, which means it's only required to go to the statutory, like, conservation.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
And we have seen the letters from the abutters, and in particular, the one, I don't know the address, but the one right here. And the concern was that the existing driveway that's on 100% on the school's, town's property was being taken away, and the concern was that it reduced their available driveway to a smaller amount. The existing plans as they were sort of last week, when all this stuff was coming through, was about 17 and a half feet wide left, and we were dealing with everything on the school's property, but then the abutter came and notified the building committee of that, and we since had gone back and said, well, we can, if we're installing a new curb in that area, we can leave it at 20 feet wide or something like that, which is the town's regulations, and I think that is a minimal to the abutter on that side. And then the traffic patterns has been reviewed by all of the first responders in traffic and engineering in town on several occasions as we've been developing this, and so that's been gone through on theirs, and this is the scheme that has arisen from that process, so.
Thanks. I was asking because we're on television, people are watching, and if this is the last stop, people need to know, and they need to know what they can do. I mean, usually, people are used to things going around to different boards, so thanks for clarifying that, and I hope that helps some people. All right, Jack. And it's not our jurisdiction, we're not about curbs and turning patterns, but anyway, Jack.
A couple of questions to clarify on your plans here. You have some abbreviations. I'm just figure what they mean. M and P,
Oh, maintain and protect.
what is that?
Maintain and protect, so it's called out probably on existing drain lines that are to remain.
Okay. And then R and D,
Remove and dispose, so those are the pipes that'll be coming out.
okay. All right. Yeah, I think Al had address one of the questions I had with respect to the last major construction at the site. There was, on a major storm, there was flooding at the site, and then it wound up putting a lot of silt, it just was flushed down through the storm drain system into the pond. And he also was concerned with the letters that we read into the record earlier, and maybe the butters are here, they.
One of
may
the
wanna address
abutters
that.
is here, so.
So I'll hold off any further. So anyone in the audience?
I just want to stress, like, I think I gave you comments before that I know we have a draft swap, but
Yeah.
in the permit and the erosion control requirements in the land disturbance regulations, we want to see a plan with these items on it.
Actually, I wanted to comment on the plan too. So you have a plan with everything on it. We have a much bigger plan that's only half of that, the other half's here. I guess on my wish list, and maybe it's just styles of different engineers, that we have some plans that more closely resemble what you're looking at. We don't
Yeah.
actually have that. We have half of it,
Yeah,
and it's not colored or anything.
Yeah.
So when you come back before us with a really particular thing that you know we're really excited about, if it could sort of match what you're got there?
yeah, so what you have is, you have the construction drawings, and because they're on two, because the site splits two title blocks, we found it easier to put it on one to present. Those are what the contractor will get, but yeah, we can certainly provide
We wouldn't mind having
those.
the presentation ones.
Yeah.
And then not to have, like, we don't even touch this one, it's like a huge one.
Yeah, the landscape plans.
L001.
Yeah, those are the landscape
Okay,
plans.
there are some trees that got cut down. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Just to elaborate a little bit more, what do you have in your contract that the contractor will maintain those on site during construction? The drainage structures and silt sacks
Yep.
in the manholes?
Yes, and all the inlets, we are showing inlet protection in both catch basins, area drains, any inlet existing and proposed. So those are called out on the C100 drawings. There's also language in the SWIP about the maintenance requirements associated with those, how often they have to be checked, after what storms they have to be checked, however much sediment before they have to be cleaned out. So all of the maintenance info is in the SWIP that the contractor will have to follow, but it's shown on the C100 plans.
So the circles that are on.
Exactly, the little circles with the lines
And
through.
then in C3, there's the detail. of
Yes, the details are in the C300s.
silt.
There's also third-party owner's project manager clerk on site during the entire project, every day, and all the times that the contractor's on site, and so, and then the engineers and us are out there periodically as required, so I think there's other eyes than just the contractor's word for the fact that they're taking care of this, that we pop a cover, look at it, make sure it's good, and then.
Who is this third party?
The third party's Vertex, they're the OPM, the owner's project manager, which is required for public projects. And so they're kind of overseeing the engineers, architects, contractors, everybody.
Okay.
So,
All right, anyone in the audience, if you would, come up to the microphone and identify yourself, please. Just, yeah, if you would.
Hi, I'm Jeff Janasek. I'm the abutter at 223 Common Street.
Which is, where on the plan here?
This property right here.
Okay.
I think this is the north side. And, right, I'm the abutter that wrote in the letter about the safety
Okay.
issue. And so, I listened a little bit, at the beginning of the presentation of this, and one of the reasons for moving the driveway, I think, was for safety reasons, for fire and police, to move the driveway down further so that they could have better access and it'd be a little safer. But the current plan, what's happening is it's they're building the sidewalk and the curb all the way out to the property line here, which will go over the existing driveway here, which will then in turn shorten my driveway to about 7 feet, which will in turn require me to back my car out. So my family will have to back out against Common Street, up against that rise in the hill, and, into oncoming traffic, which is more dangerous than, what it's trying to solve, in terms of safety. So I just wanted to highlight that. Also, there may be some planned changes in the works, according to this area. I've been, having some conversations with people and so forth, and the plans may change. So
Okay.
I guess that's what I wanted to explain. That's my, why I'm here. This area here, the changes to this area in this quadrant.
Okay.
And I guess the only other thing to say is, one of the comments was made that, this permit here, there aren't any other committees, I guess, that are gonna approve permits for this. So if this gets permitted as is against this site plan, then I guess they can start construction and so forth, which, I guess, what happens with the permit if this area here is changed, if the site plan here is changed? Would be my question.
Okay.
Well, I have a
Did
question.
you address, were you, I thought you said something about something may be changed with this area, I guess?
Yeah, so the current drawings, as you see on this plan right here, and the L drawings, which are in the package that you didn't open yet, the actual width of the dimension from the paved lot, I'm sorry, Jeff.
Jeff, yes.
Yes, I didn't want to try to say that last name, so.
Yep.
But it scales in the engineering drawings to 17 feet as to what we're showing on our drawings to what the driveway available would be open. And so when we first heard of Jeff's concerns, we went back and said, well, what can we do to make it better? It is all on the town's parcel and property. And so what we went to is asked Carl, what's the town's minimum recommendations for driveways in town? And it's 20 to 24 feet. They allow up to 24 feet, but if you're building new, it's 20. And so what we did is we were in the 17 and a half feet or something like that was going to be available for Jeff's driveway. So we said, why don't we just put a hard dimension on the final construction drawings as they're being released that just says the contractor has to maintain at least 20 feet between his rock wall and the new curb line. And that's what we planned on. I think it's actually already done, to be honest with you. We already made that change. And so so I think 20 feet is reasonable, provides the same access that he's sort of used to. So that's what we were trying to do, is listen and hear and then respond and give him the ample room that he needs. So.
Okay. I guess the question, were you aware that your driveway was on town property?
Yes, but I believe that there was some kind of a prescriptive easement on the property. I'm not sure much about it. I've never really looked into it. I think I've lived there since 2008, and I've never had a problem, up until now, when somebody wants to change, the design for it, so.
So is this the solution, what you just heard? Is this a solution to the problem?
I believe it can be. I would say the solution has been formulating over the last 2 days.
Yeah.
And so I don't have, I don't have a picture of the final solution, but it looks like what we're talking about can work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the drawings will be revised?
Yeah, I mean, in actual fact, I don't know that it's actually dimensioned anywhere, that graphic, on any drawing. And so what we were going to do is just add the dimension mark and say, maintain at least 20 feet clear between his stone wall and this curb inlet that we're making.
Okay.
Because there's a curb, and then there's the ADA downward transition, and then there's the striping and things that all have to occur in that same zone, the crosswalk striping that happens. And so that's what we were trying to do. Is the first we'd heard of it was Monday, I think. And so we were trying to, respond and say, it's on town property, but we can move that curb. We don't have to go all the way to we're just trying to follow the line. And so,
Okay,
Yeah.
how does the homeowner know that that's gonna be done?
I mean, it's in the plans, so.
I mean,
It's
I-
not-
you-
I mean,
you're
it's-
saying- You're saying you're in the process of doing that, and you'll have something
Yeah.
in the contract for the contractor that he has to maintain,
It's gonna be on the final drawings, yeah.
opening there.
Yep.
Um,
But it's not jurisdictional in any way. This is the town's authorities, the town administrator is saying, we're willing to do that, even though it's all on town property. We're not affecting the abutters' property at all, like, not going on it, not going over it. The easement stuff, we'd have to look into the legal easements if there is any on that regard, but, I think all you can get is something in writing from the town administrator saying, we will hold and maintain 20 feet minimum for your thing, and that's the only jurisdictional thing that's there,
Okay,
so.
you had any contact with town administrator?
Yes, I have. Yeah, it's still in the,
It's fresh,
communicating.
Yeah.
It's fresh, yeah, this,
today.
the first notice I got of the changes at the high school was the Thursday before the 4th of July. And I went down, I think I got the letter on Saturday, because it was certified mail, I had to get out of the post office to get it. Looked at it, and then it referred me to a newspaper article on when this meeting was. And it said, in the interim, review plans upstairs and attend the meeting if you have any concerns. So things happen very quickly.
Right.
I was very surprised.
Yeah.
So the gentleman did come into my office, and we went over the plans and what was on the plans. And then I believe he also attended on Monday the permanent building committee, where this issue was brought up and where the motion kind of started to address this issue.
Okay.
I don't think it's really a land disturbance permit
No,
issue.
no.
But and then I've gotten a couple of emails back and forth. I know Carl looked at it, came up with a good solution, so it sounds like the town is definitely, working on this issue. So I think it's being addressed.
Good. But no, it's totally non-jurisdictional for us. We shouldn't even be talking about it, but we are.
Well, this is the only opportunity.
I
for
know, that's what
anybody to
concerns
express
me. It's the only place you can talk about it.
And just to clarify too, that this is a land disturbance permit, there is a separate building permit, which under Dover, that's the jurisdiction, is the building permit that we have to go to after we get the land disturbance permit. So it's not that there is no other authority or jurisdiction, but it rests within the building commissioners. You'd have to look at all the language in Dover to understand that a little bit more. But I would encourage you to talk to Jim Crawley, the building commissioner, and say, we've come up with these agreements, and I would just like to make sure you're aware of them so that you can help us maintain. They are the authority that's going to be guiding the project through, even certificate of occupancy and permit of the vertical construction. So I think that's one of the safeguards you can have as well. And
Okay. Do you have anything else, Ben, sir?
I just would ask how quickly the building permit might get reviewed or considered.
so that's a good question. So the current state of the project is actually that it's not even fully funded yet. So it has to be funded through a town vote, which is going to happen in October. We're putting these drawings out to bid right now. That's our current scope, and then we're gonna have the final price of the work, and that's gonna come before the town at town meeting in October for final approval of the funds. If it's successful there, then the contractor will be signed on and probably immediately apply for permit. Permit approval is, let's call it 4 weeks. It could be a little longer, a little shorter, depending on their time. Police and fire have already done preliminary reviews. We need to do a structural third-party review. So there's a few steps along the way that just ensure all of the safety and life safety systems and everything are all set. But it won't be until, in fact, the one, if you look at this phasing plan, the first phase of construction we're not even really breaking ground on any of the stuff over here in 1B. The 1A stuff would happen, we're hoping could happen before the end of the year, so before the winter sets in, because we need asphalt on these things and the asphalt plant's closed down. But the vertical construction would happen a little bit later than that, and as you break ground and stuff like that. So it's going to be, most of the actual construction activity is going to be 2025, early 2025 and through on, and then project completion in the summer of 26. So it's not like if this board gives an approval, today, which is not going to happen, but if it gave it today, it's not like building permit would happen 2 weeks and then we're starting construction, so.
Yeah, that was my concern, is being surprised and not, having enough time to properly
Sure.
research and everything, but
Thank you.
thank you.
Anyone else? Questions or comments? We need, I guess this has been reviewed sufficiently through town boards. Should we close the hearing?
Well, I definitely would like to see the additional information on the erosion control plan and, is there an issue if it got continued to August 14th to just get the rest of the information with Carl and?
I guess, yeah, I couldn't be here on the 14th, but someone from Niche could be here. I guess, could that just be conditioned, because it's just really putting that presentation stuff on the erosion control plan in there, which we're already doing for the deadline we're working on now, and then the interim stormwater stuff, because that too, we can certainly show, basins, but again, because it's so phased and the stormwater work that's gonna be happening within each phase, like that, right, it's like, so for example, the parking lot up there, that's probably the biggest area of new impervious area, that those storm tech system, those will be in and before the paving happens, so that will mitigate. So I guess we can show some, I'm a little confused on what to show, because it's not like there's space for like these huge basins or, kind of each little phase is kind of gonna mitigate its own stormwater.
So you don't think you'll need any temporary settling basins during construction?
Don't need to, just because the way that it's phased. I know, if this was like, if they were doing everything at once,
Yeah.
then yes, probably, right? Again, a contractor might come in and they might figure it out, but I mean, I don't know if you could condition that, the contractor would have to provide that.
And how about the basin that doesn't have soil testing?
Yep, so that we can, I talked with Carl today about that, so he was fine with that being conditioned, that we go out, he observes those. So it's really up to you. I wasn't sure, there's not a ton more info that's gonna be coming, but we're happy to do whatever you think is best.
How large is that Phase 1A?
This one, right here?
Yes.
I don't know off the top of my
I know, I don't have, it's in the stormwater report, I don't have it off the top of my head either.
Looks like it's as big as the high school.
How large is that? What's the area of that?
Big parking area.
This, yeah.
It's about as big as the high school.
So if you have if you have a stormwater report, I can pull that number pretty quickly if I could just skip a minute.
What's the, all right. That's the first phase. Which plan shows the drainage during construction? I think that's the main area that would be an issue that we brought up earlier during the prior major construction at the high school.
So C1 shows different areas of erosion control and the silt sacks.
Where are you?
C100, sorry. Yeah, it's a little confusing the way these plans work, because usually everything is in one set, and I think what happened with Carl as well is I just picked one of the copies and gave it to him, and it turned out it was the L series rather, and he should have been looking at the C series. And I did the same with Al, so it's partly on me because I'm not used to this format, that there's two sets.
Fold them all
I
together.
know.
It was like, we were trying the best way to
Yeah,
set them all over.
it was a little
like-
confusing,
Yeah, no, there's just so much.
in how it's set up.
So existing, that whole existing 1A is about, let's see, just under an acre, I would say, yeah. I mean, I could see that might be the only area that maybe they
Right,
would put a
this-
temporary.
and this would be this whole area that's shown on
These are all
C100.
flowing-
Yeah.
It's all flowing down towards Common Street.
Yeah, all of the drainage ends up in Common Street.
Okay, now, M&P, that's maintain, architect, R&D was what?
Remove and destroy.
Remove and destroy.
Same thing.
Easy to maintain. Well, this is coming down here, what do we got? And this is, and this was the area that we had the problem, was along this property line coming down here, that the neighbors were getting flooded. And the drainage system was not maintained.
I mean, we could add to the plan, I'm just trying to think, like, you know, in the SWIP, there are recommendations for sizing of temporary basins. I could put in each area this, like, the anticipated size that the contractor would have to control, you know, and whether or not that's done with the underground system being in, or how they end up constructing that. But then that
Right,
could
if
be,
it's not needed, it's not needed, but
Right.
at least, I mean,
No.
I can tell you how many sites I've been out
Yeah.
with, and it's raining really hard.
Oh, yeah, we've
And they're
gotten
like,
a lot, yeah.
Landis, what should we do? I'm like,
yeah, yeah. Oh, I
And,
totally
and we
understand.
have this
Yeah,
somewhere in the office, you know, in a file cabinet.
yes.
So that's why
Yep.
we want a little
Yeah,
more information
understand.
on plans, because honestly, this gets
Yeah,
lost.
I know.
This
yeah.
is much better for
Yeah.
contractors to look at. So I
So we
think
could
that's
add
a
that to
I
the
think
erosion
that's a good
control plan.
suggestion.
Yeah, I can do that.
This is phase one.
So did you hear the suggestion, putting in each of these areas a recommended construction management or sediment basin, and it either gets put there, or if there's a better place, then they can do that, but at least it's not in the SWEP document that tends to just kind of get lost.
But should this be continued to see these on a plan?
It's up to you guys. I mean,
I would think
And we
there
could,
should be
if you
something
condition it
in
as like
here.
pending approval, right, so we would have to keep making sure that it was okay with Landis before, you know. I think that's what Carl, when I was talking with Carl, but.
yeah, we often put in conditions, you know, prior to the pre-construction meeting, these, you know, dewatering or more detail on the erosion control plan. I mean, I guess with it being the town, I feel a little bit better with doing it that way. I don't always like to do it that way, honestly.
In what way? How do
To
you-
make condition, put it as conditions, that prior to the pre-construction meeting, getting the more detailed erosion control, sedimentation, stormwater management plan with temporary storage during construction.
Okay, I think that would, if that, if you're satisfied, that can work.
Like I said, I feel better with it being a town job with more town control doing it that way than some other projects.
Okay, I guess the question, with that third party, basically you were working for the town?
Yeah, they're right here, actually.
Yeah. Okay. So it seems to me, again, that getting back to the, whatever it was, 20 years or so ago, that we weren't getting response from whoever was on site supposedly supervising the contractor was not responding to issues that conservation brought up. So, okay. The tag, you're it? Okay. All right. So your Landis, you're satisfied you can work with the town, with Carl and the town?
Sure.
To get these things done? All right,
Yep,
so-
we'll add some conditions that have to occur prior to the,
And then someone make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
In a second?
Aye.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Al, are you eyeing or nay?
Well, I haven't seen proof of a solution to the issues I brought up.
Well, that's what we were just talking about, that Landis will get together with the town engineer and whatever other boards, plus the third-party oversight company, will be working with this to decide how to address that when they actually get to that phase in the construction. So, you vote
Are you
yes
a
or
nay
no?
or an
I'm a
abstention?
nay.
Okay, 301. Okay, so your conditions, you've got
Is it 310?
3-1, what'd they say?
You said
3-1, oh, 310, yeah.
Okay.
okay, right, so we'll have a condition about the test pits for the infiltration system that hasn't had test pits yet, with the town engineer observing those. And then the stormwater erosion control plan with temporary construction control of stormwater management be submitted prior to the pre-construction meeting.
Yeah, prior to actual construction taking place on those, particularly concerned with
Right,
phase
so I
one.
find it easier if we have it, you know, prior to a pre-construction meeting, then I have all my documents, and then we have a pre-construction meeting, and I can go over everything there with the contractors
So they need to be submitted
prior to that.
prior to that, so they can
Prior
be
to that.
reviewed and commented
Yep.
on.
Yes,
Landis, I can actually get you those within the next couple weeks, because I'll want
That's
those to
even
get on the
better.
bid docs, so then they'll
Okay.
just,
yep,
we'll already
great.
have them.
So it's been, yeah, right, so I mean, obviously you understand that if they close the hearing, they issue the decision, if there's design change because of that stormwater, soil test, or, I thought the other basin, but if you're doing that with Carl, that's
Yeah,
fine.
straighten out, Carl.
You would just, you would have to submit a request for modification. Anything
Okay,
else?
is that it?
Anything
Do we
else,
have a-
conditions
anything
that
else?
would make the commission feel more confident?
As I say, I'm not satisfied. So
Yeah,
Okay, can put in there to satisfy Al.
Well, maybe we're
Well,
more
maybe
vigilant this
it's-
time than we were
it's,
20 years ago, up ahead
The
of.
drainage issues, right, during construction?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what we've tried to cover here, so. Okay.
And the pre-construction meeting will be with the contractor, right? So
We've already got,
the pre-construction meeting will be with the contractor. so
yeah, we
that-
usually, that's a standard condition, just the pre-construction meeting.
So at
And
that
usually
point,
the town has a pre-construction meeting anyways that I'm invited to, so if I feel like I need to have more of a one-on-one, then we'll do that.
okay? So make that the motion to include that with the order.
I'll move that.
Got a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Al, you,
I'm opposed to,
Okay.
okay, 3-1-0. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just need that. For the turbo jet. Yes.
So Al, even though you voted against, you should still sign the permit, just
Yeah.
because you're part of the quorum.
yeah, I know.
And also Landis is gonna be way more proactive than anyone, proactive than,
What was that?
you're gonna be very proactive about this. I mean, this is 20 years ago, that was a different thing. You're gonna be more,
Actually, it was over 20 years ago.
you're
'cause
gonna be
I
more
wasn't
vigilant.
here.
You weren't there.
No.
Okay, so that's it, we have a brand, so
Landis, do you need the green cards or no for the voter?
Yes, I do.
this is the new vigilant commission.
Come on, then it'll be your new agent.
It was before Landis,
Yeah, so you have to
It's
take
over
that into
20.
consideration now.
over 20 years ago.
I wasn't on the commission when you guys made that mistake.
No,
Whatever it
those were
was.
just the return. You did all certified mail?
Yes.
I don't like the idea of the plans they were using weren't any, I like the plans that we have.
Right, so part of the problem with Al and I, it's my mistake, as well as because there was two sets of plans, the C series and the L series, I thought all the copies were just multiples. So I might have just given you the L series and not the C series, which is more the civil ones. I did the same thing with poor Carl, so his letter first said there was a lot of information missing, and it was because of that.
Yeah,
They usually get a full set, not
yeah,
two separate things, and then the
Yeah.
land disturbance, this was a little confusing.
yeah.
We didn't address the green, other than he said there were no
So
agreements.
I did forward that to the town administrator and the assistant town administrator who's on the permanent building commission,
Yeah.
so that they are aware of it.
And the abutter should have a document or something or other that they present. They should be,
I don't, my understanding, I did talk to that person on the phone, I don't know if it's contract, I think he's using that word lightly, that he was part of, and correct me if you're listening tonight, email me tomorrow, that he was part of the public hearing process for that last edition, and that they thought, they had an understanding that there was not gonna be development there.
Yeah.
They came to the public hearings and they
Yeah.
fought to keep that green space.
yeah.
So, I don't know if it's a legal document, contract
Mhm.
type of thing, but
Okay,
I know parking is a very big issue at this
It
point.
is.
Yeah, sure it is.
But in front of the Plimpton School, there is a green space.
There is,
And,
right. And parking, now they park in the parking lot at Clark's Pond, which we
Oh, I
don't
know.
particularly want them to do, and they park along the road and.
did you ever pursue that any further with town administration regarding
Not yet.
parking? Okay.
no, because the school year is over, but we'll
Well,
have a
no,
fresh
but
new
we
year
need to
tomorrow.
do, if we're gonna do something,
Yes.
what we're looking at was perhaps designating a
Yeah.
certain number of spaces that could be used for school parking, and that they would pay for that in the same way they pay for
Right,
the parking space at the high school.
okay, the Conservation Commission.
The money would probably go to.
Bailey's ready to leave. She's just 1 foot out the door.
And I'm freezing and I just need to stand up too.
I don't blame you. Okay.
Okay.
All right, I think we're out of
Yeah,
agenda
all right.
items.
Yeah, I don't think we have
I think
anything
we can move
else.
to
We
adjourn.
do, all right, the thing we had, I didn't want to really bring it up at that, we can, you want to talk about signs or not? What's on there, or we just wait till we get a whole,
Let's
what all
wait,
we're gonna
because you know
do?
what, Doug cares about
Well,
this, and he's
well,
not
yeah,
here.
that was
So
another
let's,
reason we
and
get
It
into
is not
Emilio
on the
cares
agenda, so
about
we'll make
it.
sure to put it on the agenda, so.
Oh,
The
I
two,
thought it
the
was.
two of them would like to talk about it, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, it's what it, sort of be more
So we
appropriate
just want
to
to
get
make sure
into
to
that.
put on the agenda for the
Right,
14th,
signage
the
for the-
North Street project, conservation land. That should cover
Okay.
everything.
So. You ready?
Well, let's
Someone
move to
make-
adjourn.
Move to adjourn. Did someone
Sec-
make that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are we off?
Done.